Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chelsea. I'm just a lady with a bulldog, a camera, and too many opinions. And today I have quite a lot of opinions about this absolute, honestly, I don't even know how to describe him. A false prophet, a delusional weirdo, horrible shirt wearing, scammer adjacent, cult leader in the making. We're going to talk about Brandon Briggs.
I'm coming.
Ew. Brandon Briggs is a self-proclaimed prophet. Yes, he says that he talks to Jesus, talks to God, talks to angels, sees angels, hears them. Brandon, are they in the room with us now? He'd probably say yes.
Jesus looked at me and he said, months before I come back to get you, they're going to talk about aliens a lot.
He said that he's been shown heaven and hell and that he has predicted so many things. Brandon got his grubby little hands on some internet fame in the end of the summer in 2024 when he predicted the spooky unaliving attempt on Donald Trump. I'm gonna have to use some censored language. So for the people who are like, oh my gosh, you're so woke, you're saying unalived and blah, 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 just say this. Hey, I'm trying to get paid for the job I do. Do you want to go to work and not get paid? No. So shush. So shush up, Buster. So in this vision that he delivered with all of the theatrics, and all of his videos typically are accompanied, like the short form ones are accompanied with the just most poorly made AI generated clips and sounds and all those things. It's so funny. So funny that someone who's like, AI's ruining the world. And it's like, sir, what about that B-roll you just played? What are you doing?
There's a great deception. It's all set up.
Anyways, just stuff that doesn't make sense, but oh well, it's fine. So he said that a bullet grazed Donald Trump's ear, prompting him to drop to the floor and praise the Lord. Now, if you look at the clip, that's not exactly what happened, but that's okay. So fast forward a few months after he posted that, obviously, yeah, it did happen. However, there have been a lot of people who have said that there's probably going to be an attempt like that on said person. So it's really not that impressive that he said that. Hi, y'all. Here on my channel, we are not unfamiliar with people who are unhinged and their unhinged opinions. And you know, and I know, it's basically the equivalent to our trashy TV. It's really entertaining. But unfortunately, for some of us, we have people like that in our personal lives, and it can be pretty hard to deal with. Many of you are familiar with my crazy Uncle Reggie. Thanks to today's sponsor, Uncle Reggie has been a little bit less crazy. And that sponsor is Ground News. Ground News is my go-to news platform developed by female former NASA engineer Harleen Kaur to give readers an easy, data-driven way to keep up with the news. The app gathers related articles from thousands of sources around the world, allowing me to easily compare how different outlets cover the exact same story, and gives context on the source of each of those publications. For instance, speaking of the algorithm gods, a recent study discovered that Twitter, also known as X, their algorithm changed in July to boost right-wing accounts. Ground News found over 20 news outlets covering this story. 50% were left-leaning, while 33% were leaning right, and then obviously the difference being center-leaning. Below that, you can see the factuality breakdown, which of course is my absolute favorite aspect, as well as ownership, which obviously that's very important. 50% of reporting outlets are independently owned. Like this headline from The Verge that reveals X's algorithm now loves two things: Republicans and Elon Musk. Y'all know we love independent journalism over here, and I of course do think it's important to consider the source, as I say a lot on my channel. And we should question everything and research everything. However, we don't need to put our tinfoil hat on just yet. Keep it in arm's reach, but we don't need to put it on yet. Instead, you can go to ground.news/cc or click the link in my description box. And if you sign up through that link, you will actually receive their limited time offer of 50% off of their Vantage plan, which is the one that I use. And that gives you unlimited access to all of their amazing features. So thank you again, Ground News, for sponsoring this video and being a continued sponsor of my channel. Now back to the video. But either way, cue the internet being so shocked and outraged in a good way. Anyway, so naturally, had this prophecy coming true, or rather playing out kind of in the way that he said that it was, made him both a hero to the fundies and the crazies on the interwebs, and then also made him a pretty large target for criticism because a lot of people were putting exactly what he said side by side with what actually happened, and then started diving deeper into multiple different examples of this is what he said, this is what actually happened, and then later on, this is how he's like basically bragging about what he said happened. And it's like, no, you said that this happened and then this actually happened. But then like, what are you talking about? I just realized, have I been calling him Brandon Briggs this whole video? His name's Brandon Biggs. Oops. Yikes. Not me getting the name wrong of the subject of the video. So Brandon, your boy is never someone to let a little bit of controversy, a little bit of criticism kill his vibe because Jesus said so. Duh. He continued to drop these visions, his prophecies, like it's his full-time job. And you know what? I think it actually might be. This man started getting so many views, so many views. So many views.
The Lord could see them, but they weren't watching. They had gray fur and they had black on them. The sheep that were behind here, they were in the darkness.
As another content creator has said before, it's hard to pin him down because his digital footprint, like he deletes so many things from his YouTube channel if they don't perform well, or from his TikTok, whatever. And even just looking at his YouTube channel, I was like, where are all of his videos? There's none from over a year ago. And people have previously said that like he posts so much, but I'm like, girl, where? There's not that much on there, but it's because he deletes so many, especially when the prophecies don't come true. So if you're just looking at his page for the first time, you might be like, oh, wow, he, said this and this and this and this, and all these things did come to fruition. So like, he's batting 10 out of 10, right? Bowling a 800, getting a hole in one, all that. Those terms, I don't know. But the thing is that he's made way more predictions, prophecies, visions, things like that, and way many more claims. But the ones that don't come true, he's just deleting them. Or he will, have them saved, obviously, and delete them and then put them up later on so that like the algorithm hits better. Now, Brandon's YouTube channel is called Last Days, and he has, unfortunately, over 400,000 followers on there. And he talks about economic doom and basically the dreams or visions that he has about how we're about to be in another Great Depression, or how an angel told him to invest in some certain type of crypto, which also is extremely unethical as well.
I saw food lines. People were dressed in nice clothes. I saw people that were lined down the streets, cobwebs on the shelves in the stores in the corners. I saw blank shelves. There was no food on the shelves at all. A total de-dollarization, a total new global system's coming, is what the Lord showed me.
And I've seen people say things like, oh, well, one type of crypto or whatever actually did double since he talked about it. And it's like, okay, but guys, that's not that you shouldn't do that. Even if he says things like, oh, this is not, financial advice or whatever, but you taking advantage of your audience who is clearly fanatics and crazy religious people, and you saying Jesus or an angel directly told me in a dream that I need to invest in whatever, and you altering your digital footprint so that it seems like everything you have said is right, is so inappropriate and so unethical. And that's not even touching the faith manipulation and the fear mongering that goes into this as well, because he is constantly talking about how the end days are here.
Humanity as we know it is coming to an end.
But one thing that he does more recently, since he has gotten things wrong so many times, one thing he does more recently is that he'll be more vague about dates and just be like, oh, I know exactly when it's coming, but just don't worry about that. Why are you keeping that secret, buddy? Tell everyone when the world's going to end. And here on my channel, we're not strangers to fanatics using end times as a scare tactic and trying to promote like a doomsday, basically. Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm talking to you, boo. or like the higher ups or whatever, the old white guys, used to put in their magazine, The Watchtower, which that's like weird too. That's very like sci-fi novel-y. Like that sounds like something that would be that like the Scientology people would have. They used to publish their doomsday date. Like this is when Jesus is going to come back in a spaceship. Get your jean skirt ready. And for any of you who are like, I'm Jehovah's Witness and we don't wear jean skirts. Well, guess what? The ones around my house do, okay? They wear long jean skirts or just long skirts and they look like they're wearing pillowcases. And none of them speak English and they only try to speak Spanish to me. And I really, like, I understand that it's fine, but it's also like, are you just trying to act like you don't speak English? So I can say, hey, this says no soliciting. I have 5 no soliciting signs. What do you, get out, please leave. We're gay, leave us alone. So let's talk a little bit more about his predictions, shall we? Some of them are a little bit spooktacular. Now, like I said, he talks about the sequel to the Great Depression. Girl, the sequel to the Great Depression 2, if you will. But he also calls it the Great Dark Time. And he says that it's going to be way worse than the Great Depression and that it's going to make that time look like a little hiccup. Brandon has also had his fair share of natural disaster predictions. Personally, those are my favorite because it's like, I don't know, it seems like other ones like you could kind of not see coming, but like they're like clues to that this is happening. But it's like, sir, you just... For someone who thinks that global warming isn't real, you got a lot to say about natural disasters and like the weather being mad. So with his super vivid imagination, it gets real specific. So Brandon says that there will be a massive, crazy earthquake that has the Richter scale going up to 10, which is the highest it goes. And he says that it's going to split the US in half. Fun fact, the last major earthquake on the New Madrid fault line was in 1894 with a magnitude of 6.7. And it occurred near Charleston, Missouri. I didn't even know there was a Charleston, Missouri. I thought there was just Charleston, South Carolina. Who knew? And that happened October 31st, 1895. Now the USGS estimates that there is, and like those are experts, not prophets, they do say that there is about a 7 to 10% chance that there will be another like catastrophic earthquake in the New Madrid fault line zone in the next 50 years. 7% to 10% chance. Oh, and by the way, that's not even for a Richter scale 10. That's only up to 8 on the scale. So I don't know who I'm going to believe. You know, I think I'm probably going to believe some experts. And science. Watch it happen tomorrow. And I'm just like, oh my God, now I can't post this video. Don't worry. That is not where the day after tomorrow inspired weather predictions stop. They continue because he also predicts that an asteroid will strike the Atlantic Ocean and that will trigger a colossal, that's a good vocab word there, a tsunami that would devastate and basically wipe out coastal regions, areas, whatever. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think that there is a creator, that there is, you know, someone, I don't know. Too many things have happened in my life for me not to believe that like there's a higher power, right? I should be dead. Okay, I should not be alive right now, but I am. And just so many things have happened for me not to believe, right? And I do think that some people are given gifts. For instance, probably going to lose half of you by saying this, but many women in my family have the sight, if you will. Most of y'all know that. But yeah, I mean, for instance, I was talking to my mom one day and she literally had not even met Jesse Smiles and Lily Marston of the Do We Know Them podcast. And we were talking about them one day and a trip I was going on with them and, you know, just how much I love them and how she thinks that they're funny. And then the next day she told me, hey, let them know, like she's like, I saw, you know, them being awarded something or like selected for something like due to their podcast and like it's going to be a really big deal and it's, you know, going to happen by like the end of the year. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So then I told them that, and then what do you know, a week later they messaged me and they're like, girl, your mom's a witch, and also Patreon put us on a billboard, we were selected. Crazy, right? I get feelings and stuff too, and that's okay. And sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes I like misread things. But to be like so specific about stuff like this, and in my opinion, he's a clout goblin and he's just doing these things for views and for money. But is it Jesus or is it mental illness? Because I think it's mental illness. Either way, though, the visions or psychosis doesn't stop at natural disasters that put disaster movies to shame. He has also predicted that there will be another pandemic-like type of situation that we had in the last few years that's going to wipe out 350 million people. And he then also like tied it into people just like dropping dead. And then in other videos, he didn't call it a virus, but then he did call it a virus. And he was saying that it's created by like DNA and AI. And I'm like, sir, I don't think you understand how any of that works. We've seen from your short form content that you're not that great at using AI. But basically that this man-made plague would be worse than the Black Plague, which if you don't remember, if you weren't there, you know, like some of us were, none of us were. But that wiped out like half the world population, if not more. So that's crazy. Also, again, he has alluded to that he like knows when it's going to happen, but won't say like the dates. And it's so strange that he won't, because it's like, why wouldn't you want to, you know, give people a heads up? And if you had this type of information, why wouldn't you want to tell them? And maybe it's because he's just trying to offer some type of confirmation bias for the people who like really support his content. I do not know, but he has talked a lot about a spiritual revival and a new wave of patriotism and the return of Christian values. I hate that because it's like the Christian values never left, buddy. You can still have those. If other people not having those is an issue for you, you want freedom of religion and freedom of speech and freedom of the press, but not for anyone else, only for you and the people who believe the exact same thing as you. It's wild, man. Now let's talk about his predictions regarding World War III, because hey, why not? Why not add some devastating global conflict, some historical conflict to the mix? It's like so doom and gloom. Like, where are your happy predictions? Where are those? Give me those and only those. But also don't, because I don't want to hear you talk anymore. But of course, like I said, he has talked about World War III. And I think that's interesting because a lot of people have been talking about that. Like, it's not groundbreaking. A lot of people have been saying that that's like coming because of the tension that has just been building up between different sides of whatever beliefs you have. And I've even said that. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, or even like a civil war, like if that happens in our country, like I would not be surprised. And then also he keeps talking about how there's going to be a draft. I don't think there would ever be a draft because we have far too many crazies like this who would join up right away. Also, though, most of these people who were like, I would join, sir, you would not pass the psych test. This guy would not pass the physical or psych test or mental. Also, I think he'd be too old. Don't they not take people who are older? What happened last time y'all were drafted? I don't remember. I wasn't there. Just kidding. You weren't there either, probably. Maybe you were. We got a few cool grandmas and cool moms that watch us, but who's us, Chelsea? You're the only one here in this room. Welcome back to War Hour, where we talk about war, featuring the current battle I'm fighting that I am really have the urge to go to the bathroom right now, but I can't. I mean, I can. I just want to finish this video first. I'm about to wet my pants. My bladder's not strong enough for this. Okay. So another thing that he has talked about is like technological catastrophes, and that's kind of roped in with the doom and gloom of it all, the end times, the, you know, this is going to wipe us out, this is going to wipe us out, this is going to wipe us out, right? And then a huge war happening. But he also has talked about the US being subject of or victim of an EPM attack, which is an electromagnetic pulse attack, and basically saying that there would be nationwide power outages and electronic paralysis. It really sounds like he watched that one Netflix movie, Something at the End of the World. What is it? Meet You at the End of the World. See You at the End of the World? I don't know. Julia Roberts is in it and I love her. Leave the World Behind. That's what it's called. I really do love that movie. And I feel like it was a good depiction of like what would happen if something like that happened, because like we would all be like in the dark, so to speak. And like during the movie as the viewer, like you're in the dark, like you don't know what the happened either. And same, like, you know, as much as like the main characters, which I like. Now, I do just want to mention again that Brandon Biggs has had a history of making numerous claims, but we'll call them prophecies right now. Brandon has a history of making quite a lot of prophecies, particularly concerning investments, like I said before. And due to his history of not only fear-mongering, but faith manipulation, and just doing that in general, it is super, super, super unethical, in my opinion. Of course, all this is my own opinion. Just like him talking to angels is his own opinion. But unfortunately, those prophecies that he puts out there have reportedly led to significant losses, financial losses for his followers. For instance, like I said before, claimed that Jesus and even angels have appeared to him, providing him with very specific investment advice, and then he shares that advice with his followers. And many people, reportedly, allegedly, trusting what he has said, thanks to his own manipulation of his YouTube channel and the content that he puts out there, have sold their homes and emptied their retirement savings accounts in ventures that he recommended. And it's not like he can be necessarily, I mean, I do think there's a way he could be held accountable for that, but they're the ones who, made those investments. So unfortunately, that's, you can't just call the bank and be like, you know what, Jesus was wrong about that. But of course, this higher power and this like prophet that you believe in, they're not going to be the ones at fault. It's going to be you for like interpreting it wrong or for doing something wrong. One of the many extra awful parts of faith manipulation. Now, I tried to see if there were any like partnerships that he has or certain like sketchy, scammy, like investment opportunities that he specifically is associated with, but I couldn't really find any like that. For instance, we see someone crazy on the internet, scamming people or saying some insane stuff. And then you look at their links in bio and it's like, buy my course here. And you're like, okay, I get it. I get it now. But with Brandon, it's mostly just his YouTube channel that he is trying to direct people to. For instance, in his link tree where it says website, that takes you directly to his YouTube channel. And then also his YouTube channel is also linked up there. And it's really just his social media platforms. And then on his YouTube channel, he has 9 links listed. And there's PayPal, which that PayPal link goes to the Prayer Changes Things Foundation. And you can give one time, weekly, or monthly. But don't worry, it's not just a PayPal link to donate to. There's also the Tithely Giving website that you can give through as well. And again, that's one time, weekly, bi-weekly. Just embarrassing. Also has his Venmo account, which is hilarious. And the most visually offensive merch I've ever seen in my life. And it says, smile on your face, song in your heart, Jesus loves you. Smile on your face, Jesus in your butt. Would not be surprised. I will give him this. Looks like he has these priced pretty low to where he's going to make hardly any profit on these. Like this is through Teespring, and having that unisex classic pullover hoodie for $45, you're only going to make like a $5 profit. That's one good thing he has going for him. It's not much. I fell down quite a little rabbit hole for the last 30 minutes while I was going through his links in his bios of everything. So I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. And I find this absolutely sad if you think about it for too long, because how many people has he scammed, in my opinion, allegedly, reportedly, whatever. But then also it's just really funny because like I said, you think you'd find a course or something he's selling. Yeah, he has merch, but what YouTuber doesn't, right? And then also he has his PayPal links, his Venmo links, and then also Tithely.com, whatever. And even in the description box of all of his videos, it even says for tax deductible donations in the United States, please make checks payable to Prayer Changes Things Foundation. And then it gives the address. Also, that's not me doxing him. He has put that out publicly. And also, I'm pretty sure it's a PO box. And then there's multiple other ways to donate. And then it says, if you don't need a yearly tax deductible receipt and would like to bless my family, just give me money. The thing is, though, is that a tax deductible receipt, well, that would only be if it was a charitable donation, a nonprofit donation. I have looked everywhere. I have looked on the Oklahoma Secretary of State website. I have looked on Bizopedia. I have looked on the IRS website, even asked ChatGPT so that they could look other places on the internet. Nowhere on the internet does it say, or in any government database, that Prayer Changes Things Foundation is a nonprofit organization. And then I decided, okay, well, let me just see if it's under his name. No, but also he specifically says make checks out to. So that would mean that he has a bank account under that foundation, under that specific name. To open a business bank account, you have to have an EIN. an employer identification number with the IRS, meaning that you have created the business entity, an LLC, a corporation, whatever. However, the business itself is structured, doesn't matter, like tax-wise. You can still open a bank account no matter what with a business entity with an EIN. Per the IRS's website, Prayer Changes Things Foundation is not registered as a 501c3 tax-exempt entity. And I kept thinking like, okay, well, maybe I got the name wrong. I did not, because again, he specifically says on here, make checks payable to, meaning that is the name that is on the bank account. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to cash the checks. So if you don't know, when you do create a business entity and you are planning on applying for a nonprofit status, you don't automatically get it. So you create the business entity, which he did per the Oklahoma Secretary of State website on October 1st, 2024. The certificate of incorporation are the only documents available on there, and there are no determination letters regarding nonprofit status or anything like that. So still, they're not an approved nonprofit organization per the IRS. I've looked it up multiple times, and they've only been incorporated for 2.5 months by the time I'm filming this video on the 16th of December. It takes longer than that. It can take anywhere from 4 months to a year for that to be processed and approved if you are approved, because they take that. It's crazy. How are you going to be receiving and accepting and asking for donations and saying that it is tax deductible when it is quite literally not tax deductible yet, if it is going to be at all, because you are not 501c3 tax exempt entity? What you doing, boo? One last thing that I do find super interesting, the legal and disclaimer little section at the bottom of his videos. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Mr. Brandon Biggs, aka Last Days 24/7, aka Prayer Changes Things Foundation, is not a financial advisor nor a registered securities advisor. Therefore, Mr. Brandon Biggs, blah, 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 opinions on stocks, a comedy is his own, whatever, entertainment purposes only. Basically saying like, this is entertainment purposes. This is just his opinion. Actually say those things in videos, because who the hell actually reads description boxes and goes all the way down to the end of every video? Like, that's not how this works. If anyone was going to try to hold him accountable for like, you said that God told you this and that it was a good idea, again, they would probably, the ominous they, would probably use the Tucker Carlson defense of like, this is just a character he plays. Like, no one in their right mind actually believes them. So this man is a goblin and gross and a goblin. And thank you to the subscriber who emailed me about him. I think this is the fastest turnaround time that someone has ever sent me a suggestion, and then I made a video about it. So if you have any suggestions of people you want me to do videos on, like this person did it perfectly. They sent me links. They sent me, crazy stuff the person has said or done. And then from there, I just went off on my own. I had another person this morning. I think it was Jessica. Yeah, it was Jessica. Jessica sent me an email, a Google Doc, and a Google folder. And I was like, ooh, girl, calm down. What are you doing? It was great. It was awesome. And it was so helpful. So you don't have to do that, obviously, but that really just does help with, me making your voice louder or putting out this type of content. And instead of just being, oh, you should make a video on this. And I'm like, well, I don't know who that is. And you haven't enticed me, girlfriend. Drag me down the rabbit hole, girl. Come on, let's do it. A pretty popular YouTuber, Mike Winger, who knows how to pronounce things? Not me. Thank God I don't talk for a living, right? On his channel, he does a really great job of like breaking down hypocrisy and just like the icky stuff that goes on within the biblical realm, and people like this too. And he's pretty funny and very well spoken as well. I watched a few of his videos after I watched, or a bit of his video on this lunatic. So I will have his video linked down below. It's real good. Feel free to watch that. And remember to subscribe to my podcast, the Here for the Clout podcast. This guy definitely would be anointed a clout goblin. We talk about clout queens and clout goblins, and also have girls' night over on our Patreon too, which is so much fun. We get real unhinged over there and spill the tea and do crafts, and it's crazy. Almost all of our episodes get demonetized, so please do watch and share and all that. And that is Here for the Clout. You can listen to it wherever you get podcasts, on YouTube as well. And then also our Patreon is patreon.com/herefortheclout. That is with me and my co-host, Sherilyn Dale. She also does commentary, also does true crime, She also does commentary, and she has years of true crime content as well. And then she has been really branching out into more general and anti-scam commentary lately too. And it is wild. So remember that your feelings are valuable. You are valid. I hope you have a great holiday season. Let me know down below, what is your most favorite thing that you've like crafted this year, or let's stick with that. Your favorite thing that you've crafted this year. I personally think that my favorite thing that I've crafted this year is, I think it's what I'm doing right now actually. So those are little baby truffula trees. And then I'm doing big truffula trees. And then I have this Whoville directional sign. It says stink, stink, stunk. I painted this to look like a rock, so I have to like put snow all over it, but I can't do that yet. I'm gonna make cans of Who hash. I like specifically have to make tacos tonight so that I can have like cans and make Who hash. And I'm also attempting to make candlesticks. So at the very end of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey, Ron Howard one, the classic, when they're having their Whobilation or Christmas feast or whatever in the Grinch's lair, and it has like that windy table. I wish I could do that, but I don't have enough tables or enough friends. But there are these candlesticks, like these candelabras, and they're awesome. And so I was like inspired by those. I was like, okay, I need to make like candelabras. And I have these candles, like these tapered candlesticks, I was about to say electric, that are battery powered, and they like flicker and they're like really pretty. So I've been trying to make those, and it has been such a forking struggle. I did it first with craft foam, and then it looked like an alien. And then I did it with air dry foam or air dry clay. And then that looked even more like an alien. And now I have done a paper mache. Is that what that's called? So yes. So I'm doing it with that, and they're like so much stronger now, and I'm so excited. So it's like actually going to work this time. I'm making short form content about all of this, and it's a lot. So I'm going to turn my backyard into Whoville. And I really do think that that's one of my favorite things that I've done this year. I don't know. It's just so exciting, and I love it. And I love being able to be crazy like this, like how my mom was when I was growing up. She threw the craziest birthday parties for us and did everything herself. And it's my first time hosting Christmas at my house with my entire side of the family. So I'm very excited. I'm literally out of breath explaining that. My office is a mess. I cannot wait until all of this is cleaned up. I have to wrap a bunch of stuff too. Anyways, I appreciate you. I love you. If you're subscribed, your butt looks good. If you are subscribed, all of the crafts that you're going to make even next year are going to come out so good, even if you have to do them like 1, 2, or 3 times. Sometimes that happens. Oh, I also loved what I did for Halloween, but I think Christmas is better this year. Anyways, appreciate you. Love you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, weekend, whenever you're watching this, and the rest of your year. Okay, goodbye.